Is speculation really the enemy of crypto, or is it the misunderstood force that has quietly shaped XRP's entire journey? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most controversial ideas in the digital asset space, the belief that speculation is somehow bad, while utility is the only thing that truly matters. This mindset has been repeated so often that many people accept it as fact without ever stopping to question it. But when you slow everything down and strip the noise away, a very different picture starts to emerge, especially when you look at XRP through a wider lens. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiteboard Crypto Update. In today's video, we will talk about XRP. So be sure to stay focused, as you surely don't want to miss out on this. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications by hitting the bell so you never miss any of our uploads. Please remember, this is not a financial advice video. For years, speculation has been framed as a weakness in crypto markets. Whenever prices move, critics rush in to say it's all hype, that nothing real is happening, and that prices should only rise once utility is fully mature. At the same time, we constantly hear that networks need more developers, more applications, more decentralized finance, more total value locked, and more ecosystem activity to justify higher prices. On the surface, that argument sounds logical. But when you examine how markets actually work, it quickly begins to fall apart. The first question we need to ask is simple but powerful. What truly determines the price of any asset, including a cryptocurrency like XRP? Many people immediately point to builders, innovation, or the number of projects being launched. But none of those things directly move price on their own. They may influence interest, but they are not the mechanism that changes value. A perfect example of this can be seen across the broader crypto market. There are networks with heavy development activity, strong DeFi ecosystems, and high total value locked that still sit far below other assets with minimal building and almost no on-chain utility. Dogecoin is the classic case. Very little is being built on it. Its DeFi presence is almost non-existent, and yet its market capitalization has remained far larger than many technically advanced networks. That alone tells us something important. Builders and applications are not the direct drivers of price. So if it's not builders, not TVL, and not the number of decentralized apps, what actually moves price? The answer is far less complicated than people want it to be. Price is driven by demand versus supply. That's it. Everything else is secondary. You could launch a brand new network tomorrow with the most talented developers in the world. But if that network constantly floods the market with new tokens and inflation runs wild, demand will never be able to outpace supply. In that scenario, price has no reason to rise, no matter how impressive the technology looks. This is where XRP stands out in a major way. The XRP ledger has one of the most straightforward and predictable supply models in all of crypto. There will never be more than 100 billion XRP. In fact, that number slowly decreases over time as XRP is burned through network usage. This makes XRP's supply incredibly easy to understand, not just today, but far into the future. There are no surprise emissions, no hidden inflation schedules, and no complex mechanisms that recycle tokens back into circulation. When you hold XRP, you know exactly what you own and what the maximum supply will ever be. Compare that to many other networks where new tokens are continuously minted, incentives change, buyback systems are introduced and removed, and inflation dynamics shift depending on governance decisions. In those systems, it becomes extremely difficult to measure long-term value because supply is always a moving target. With XRP, that uncertainty simply doesn't exist. Predictability in token economics is a powerful foundation for long-term confidence. But supply alone is only half of the equation. Demand is the other side, and this is where most of the confusion really begins. Many people assume demand must come from a specific source to be valid. They argue that demand created by speculation is inferior to demand created by real-world usage or DeFi. But the market doesn't care about moral labels. Demand is demand, regardless of why it exists. Whether someone buys XRP to use in a financial application or buys it because they believe it will be far more valuable in the future, the immediate effect is exactly the same. XRP is removed from available supply. In some cases, speculative demand can actually be more powerful than utility-based demand. If someone purchases XRP to use in an application, they may only hold it briefly before selling it back into the market. That XRP quickly becomes supply again. On the other hand, someone who buys XRP with the belief that it will reach dramatically higher valuations may hold it for years. During that entire time, those tokens are effectively locked away, unable to re-enter circulation. From a price perspective, long-term holding reduces supply far more effectively than short-term transactional use. This is why speculation is not inherently negative. In fact, speculation dominates nearly every financial market in the world. The stock market itself is largely driven by expectations of future growth, not just current earnings. Investors constantly price in what they believe companies will become, not only what they are today. Crypto is no different. People assign value based on perceived importance, scarcity, and future relevance. A powerful way to understand this comes from a perspective shared by major financial institutions. If the foundational protocols of the internet had been investable assets, their valuations would likely be almost impossible to comprehend. The internet itself is nearly impossible to value because of how deeply it underpins global society. But if a ticker symbol represented the core protocols of the internet, demand to own that exposure would be massive. Not because of speculation alone, but because people recognize its importance. That recognition itself creates speculative demand. Now consider the idea of an internet of value, a system designed to move value as seamlessly as information moves across the internet. If people believe such a system will be critical to the future of finance, global payments, and liquidity, then demand to own a piece of that system becomes inevitable. That belief, whether you call it speculation or foresight, drives accumulation. History shows us that markets assign value to many things that have little direct utility. Collectibles, rare items, and cultural assets have all achieved enormous valuations simply because people want to own them. Scarcity, belief, and perceived importance combine to create value. XRP exists at the intersection of all three. This is why debates about whether XRP needs more builders or more applications often miss the point. More development is great. More projects are beneficial for network growth and awareness, but none of that guarantees price appreciation on its own. What matters is how many people want to own XRP and how long they are willing to hold it. The longer XRP stays off the market, the stronger the pressure becomes on the remaining supply. When people look at institutional products and say, if demand is so strong, why hasn't price already exploded? They forget that markets are not instantaneous. Large players understand future developments well in advance and can prepare supply to meet early demand. We've seen this pattern before. When major uncertainty was removed in the past, price didn't always react immediately, but once excess supply was absorbed, momentum returned rapidly. Zooming into where XRP stands now, the market structure tells an interesting story. XRP has spent a long time pressing against major resistance, repeatedly testing levels that have historically pushed it back. That kind of behavior doesn't signal weakness, it signals compression. The more times an asset challenges a level, the more meaningful the eventual breakout becomes. Momentum builds quietly until supply at those levels is finally exhausted. From a technical perspective, XRP has been holding higher ranges and respecting key long-term averages. Volatility has been compressing, and multiple indicators suggest pressure is building rather than fading. Periods like this often coincide with market-wide exhaustion, where fear, boredom, or frustration reaches extremes. Historically, those moments tend to appear near important turning points. What makes this situation even more compelling is that fundamentals have quietly improved while sentiment has weakened. Adoption continues to expand, infrastructure is stronger than ever, and institutional interest hasn't disappeared. It has matured. The market may feel slow, but slow accumulation phases are often the ones that matter most. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether demand for XRP comes from speculation, long-term belief, institutional vehicles, or real-world usage. All of it contributes to the same outcome. Demand removes supply. The longer that demand holds XRP out of circulation, the stronger the price foundation becomes. Speculation isn't the opposite of utility. It's often the reflection of believing utility will matter in the future. XRP doesn't need one single catalyst. It doesn't need perfection. It simply needs demand to continue outweighing supply. And as history has shown time and time again, when that balance finally tips, the move that follows is rarely small. Well, guys, that's all we have for you today. What are your thoughts on XRP? Get involved and let us know in the comments down below. If you guys like this video, then be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Thank you for watching.